Hello and thank you for joining my channel. Today we're going to be going over a guide I made for those of you who are having trouble stepping out of your comfort zone to attract those that you find captivating. Keep in mind that the guide was based off of my own personal experiences, videos I've seen, and books I read on the subject of communication. I'll be explaining the key factors I believe are important when trying to pursue a romantic relationship. This advice is applicable to anyone for anybody. A quick background about myself is I used to be a very shy and quiet person, the type of kid who would hide behind his grandmother's leg whenever there was someone new popping up in our lives. I used to stand in front of the cafeteria, hold the door open for that first person to come in, and then see a line behind them and be too nervous or shy to just cut in front of that line to get inside the cafeteria. In high school, I'd watch people to kind of study how they develop relationships, how to make good bonds. You know, those charismatic kids you see that are just popular with everyone. Yeah, those are the guys I studied. When I got home, I would just watch YouTube videos on communication and how to flirt, as well as read books on body language. I won't deny that I was also influenced by anime and movies. So there are a few things to understand beforehand. Number 1, yourself. 2, there's a wide variety of possibilities. 3, the overall state of the world. 4, having balance in the things you do and the way you see things. And number 5, understanding communication. So let's get started with point 1. I believe it's important to have a good understanding of yourself. This will provide you with the good groundwork of the things you choose to do and why you choose to approach things the way you do. It'll give you the confidence in your overall life, as well as be a shield when challenged on your insecurities. Some examples of things you can think about are your beliefs, such as religion, the foundation of reality, existence of aliens, or maybe the idea that we're all in the Matrix. Another thing to keep in mind is your morals. What do you think makes a good or bad person? Are you trying to be a good person? Or are you just trying to be someone who looks like a good person? Or maybe you're just trying to overall avoid conflict in everything. You kind of just see where the dice roll. Your values in life. This doesn't just pertain to monetary values, but maybe items of sentiment, bonds you create with people, or just the experiences you have overall. There are many things to add to that list, but it's good to know what you value. Sometimes people challenge those things, and you may find yourself become defensive. At this point, it's probably in your best interest to really think about that situation, and if you truly believe those things that you place value on is reason enough to act with high intensive emotion. Like if someone gets you angry for challenging the things you love, or sad about it overall, really think about if the emotion you're feeling is worth it. I usually believe that these type of feelings are temporary, especially for just objects in general. As for relationships, bonds that you create with people, when someone challenges you on those, you can, think about that as well, see if it's kind of worth defending someone or not. Really up to you, it depends on your character. That's your choice. Another thing to consider is your capabilities. It's good to know your strengths and weaknesses. Are you physically strong? Have you good mental fortitude? Maybe you're great with art, or maybe you have a way with words. You'll find it helps to know what you're good at, so you can use it as a tool to help you in communication. This is also good for finding others with similar interests as well, and it'll make conversations a blast. Your goals. What do you want for your future self? What are you doing to achieve those goals? Are you setting up small little goals to achieve that main one? This is also a good idea to understand and set up, because when you come across someone else who has their own personal goals, maybe yours might align with theirs. Bada bing, bada boom, you got a connection there. The last thing I'd like to say that you should know about yourself is that you are not perfect. If you find yourself believing you are, you'll probably find yourself arguing a lot. Not only that, but you'll end up squandering your potential to grow. We all have something we can be better at, and be open-minded in order to understand what it is we need to grow at or be better at. That's not to say that the things you do know are useless, but it's all about being open-minded and possibly learning something from someone else who could maybe provide a better insight. It's okay not to be the smartest person in the room. Being smart doesn't account for everything in life. Your mentor isn't the master of living your life, or theirs per se. They offer a guide to you, their wisdom, to help provide insight on the choices you believe might be best for you. Point 2, there's endless amounts of possibilities. You got to understand that the future isn't set in stone, and if you believe in a higher power that knows everything, then understand the future you can see is not set in stone. Pretty much just means that no one can make claims to know what the future holds or how things will turn out based off the results of their actions. I mean, every action you take is merely just a way to increase your chances for a specific future, but it's not set in stone. After all the variables to account for in whatever it is you choose to do can't really be accounted for when it comes to life. Now, I'm no scientist, but the results of a known experiment are only possible because the experiment is set up in a controlled environment. Life isn't a controlled environment unless people allow themselves to be controlled, and that's what's great about individualism. That's also why utopia can never really be achieved. Understand that your thoughts are limited to what you know and understand. I mean, how can you come up with the idea of unicorn without first understanding what a horse and a horn is? This is important to know because the more people you interact with, the more thoughts you can come across. The more thoughts you come across with, the more possibilities become visible to you. This will be great for helping you decide what your next move in life is. Point 3. The world in its current state of being. Everyone's different in their own way. They may share similar cultures, backgrounds, but the wide variety of influences around us, alongside with possible genetic influences, makes us each unique. I mean, two boys who each have an abusive father may grow up differently. One rich and successful because he doesn't want to be like his father, and the other a drunk mess who uses his father as an excuse not to move forward with his life. It's all a matter of perspective, which is good to know as your actions are influenced by your perspective of things. You can argue genetics influence you as well. However, we're not animals. I mean, we have the ability to deny ourselves from the desires we feel inside of us. So think about your actions and act accordingly. Changing your perspective can change how you naturally react to things. People have their own goals and concerns. It's not up to you to change that about someone, nor would people respect you if you try to change that about them. There's always exceptions, I suppose, but there's probably reserved more for like people with strong bonds such as family members and such. Respect these goals others have, and in turn, they'll more than likely respect yours. Not always, but that's probably because they never had that deep self-reflection that I'm encouraging you to have. Individuals are not defined by their sex, culture, race, wealth, or any type of term you use to define a group. I mean, these things may influence them to be a certain way, but it's irresponsible to place assumptions on someone because of their surface level background. Get to know them, and soon the dots will connect. You'll have a better understanding of them, but you'll still place a risk of being wrong with those assumptions. So just be careful with how you view someone. It's all about communication. The world isn't perfect. We are divided by political values, greed, and self-righteousness. No matter what side of the fence you may be on, at least try to understand the other's perspective. It's not about arguing for the sake of arguing, but rather developing each other for a better future. If someone's set in stone about their ideas and thoughts that you don't necessarily agree with, you do have the option to try to shed some personal insight, but this option is more likely to be ignored if the person you're talking to has a high state of emotional being, meaning that they're angry with you or sad or whatever. I mean, if they're angry, why would they listen to you? If they're sad, they're probably too focused on the negatives. I believe it's best to try to keep things neutral, that overall vibe, if you feel the need to discuss these sensitive topics. Again, it's not up to you to change a person. Point 4. Balance. Extremes are usually a cause for concern. When someone is in a highly emotional state, this often disrupts their ability to make rational decisions, and that includes yourself. This is why having a good understanding of yourself is helpful. If you understand yourself, you'll have a better chance at change your perspective on things, which in turn helps you understand that most things aren't worth getting upset about or sad about, any kind of high emotional state of being. This also ties in with the values you have. I think placing your value on someone makes that person more likely to be the reason why you're upset or sad when they do things out of the norm or out of your expectations, I suppose. It's what causes you emotional distress, and it's not really worth it. At least I don't think so. Try to avoid feeling the need to depend on someone, but rather focus on building yourself up to the point where you won't find yourself depending on others. I mean, that's not to say you shouldn't depend on others from time to time, but you are responsible for your own life. Sometimes others find themselves in a negative place due to this. They may feel like they don't have anyone who cares about them. I believe it's a positive step to kind of help those type of people out, is to just smile and wave hello whenever you see someone else looking like they're not doing too great. In turn, just be ready for people to try to talk to you. You never know what good may come out of that kind of simple action. It's good to spread the love. Balance also gives you a sense of fluidity. You'll be able to adapt better in most situations, which is good for making better decisions in life. Lastly, balance is also important in the world. Don't take too much from the land, or else things might go extinct. Don't believe that we're perfect in the world, as there are multiple groups of people who are struggling in it. If you understand this, you'll be able to connect with others better. Point 5. Developing your communication skills. I often tell people there are a few things to consider when communicating: your body language, the words you choose to say, the tone of your voice, and your method of expression. And if you see someone smiling at you, you can pretty much guess they're feeling happy. Whether that's a good or bad thing, well, I don't know. If you see them scowling, they're probably upset. If you see someone crying, they're probably sad. They got something heavy weighing on their mind. And that applies to you as well. Oftentimes people can tell how you are feeling by the body language you present. Be aware of that. The words you choose to say are important. You might find yourself caught in a corner if you choose the wrong words. People can use that against you in many situations, and likewise you may feel compelled to use someone else's words against them, which is usually to prove a point. If that point is worth it, well, that's up to you. Be careful with what you say, because those words can influence a reaction you aren't necessarily prepared for. The tone of your voice is also important. Saying a word or a sentence in a different tone can alter the perceived connotation of your message. This may also provoke certain reactions in someone. Your method of expression, writing, painting, music, whichever you choose, can emphasize the idea you're trying to get across. This can be beautiful, and it can be creepy. If you want to add some flair to your idea and are trying to present this to someone, those artistic ways of communicating may be helpful. Whichever the case is, know that the way you communicate will influence others to react. If you're trying to be neutral, talk neutrally. If you're trying to be flirtatious, talk positively and with a non-menacing tone. You can look up videos on communication or body language, which I recommend. All these things are important to know to help you be confident, open-minded, and gives you the opportunity to strategize or give you more control of your life. Everyone's different, so it doesn't make sense to stick with one plan to try and gain someone's interest. Understanding yourself will help you play on your strengths. But remember, the goal is not to change who you are, but to stay true to yourself and gain new experiences while in the process. That said, change isn't bad. However, I prefer you say you're building yourself up to be a better person. The person you're trying to attract may not be the best fit for you, nor you for them. So don't get distraught with rejection or when things aren't going your way. Cliche to say, but hey, when you look the other way, you'll find the day is filled with plenty of fish in the sea. Alright, so here's where the advice comes in for you, ladies and gentlemen, who are trying to flirt and are too shy to develop a romantic relationship. Get in, get out, and run. I'm joking, of course. Step 1. Find someone you're attracted to. The trick is to look around you. This can be at a school, a club, a public event, anywhere really. You can use the settings to your advantage too, so keep that in mind. Once you find someone, it helps to see if they are at least willing to look at you. If they do and they smile, that's a good sign. Eye contact is the key here. I'd be careful with staring too long. If you do get caught glancing at them, maybe throw a quick smile. But, just don't repeatedly glance at them. A good sweet spot, I would say, is like 2 to 3 glances. This way, you'll inadvertently let them know that you find them interesting, but you also got the self-respect to focus on what you're there for. Don't give them 100% of your attention. Kind of just let them know, like, hey, I see you, think you're cute, here's a smile, it's a friendly gesture, I'm going to focus back on what I'm here for. This will also keep the vibe. You got that self-respect, that dignity to hold on to. You don't want to make someone feel like you're just focused on them, because it causes a lot of pressure as well on their perspective, and that's kind of like a scary feeling, so be careful with that. Step 2, introduce yourself. As mentioned earlier, you can use your setting to your advantage. If you're in a school setting, ask the person for help on a worksheet, or maybe just ask them for the reminder of what the homework was all about. If you're in a club, ask them to dance. After all, a club and a bar is pretty much a place you can expect to be hit on. That goes for whoever is there. That's like on the back of their mind. That's not to say that they want to be hit on per se, but it's gonna happen, so I guess you got some sort of excuse to try that. If you're at a bar, you can also challenge someone to a game of pool, darts, or just comment about the local band that's performing. If you're at a public event, ask them about what they think of the event. In any scenario, if it's not too obvious, you can walk across them to get to the restroom or approach a friend as an excuse to kind of walk in front of their eyes to give them a reason to look at you. And if they noticed you while you're doing that, you can just throw a quick smile, wave, and continue walking towards the restroom or your friend. This just get yourself in their mind, so that way if they think you're cute or pretty, whatever, beautiful, it's like a little leaving a bread trail of crumbs. This will reinforce the idea that you notice them, but you're not putting all the pressure on them. Don't do this a lot though. Walking across them once is enough. Then at some point, when you feel there's time to approach them, you can walk up to them and introduce yourself. Hi, my name is blank. Or, what's your name? You can compliment something they're wearing. compliment their smile, or whatever you feel like. Just don't be vulgar with those compliments. Give them the opportunity to introduce themselves as well and to respond to you. Communication is like playing a game of catch. You throw the ball first. This is done with your introduction. And then let them throw it back. If they tell you something like, "Don't talk to me," or "I have a romantic partner already," they pretty much kept the ball, so don't throw another one. This more than likely won't be the case though, but don't push it. If it is, just walk away. Finding a partner in life is all about finding out the things you're willing to put up with and the things you're not. At the very least, have some self-respect. You introduced yourself successfully, you got the name, the conversation is going smoothly. At this point, you can cut the conversation short and make an excuse to leave. Don't give yourself the opportunity to run out of topics right away. I mean, you don't want to overstay your welcome anyway. Plus, once again, this reinforces the idea or the vibe that the pressure's not all on that person. You can ask for the number if you're not too nervous to ask for that. But if you are, then ask for their Facebook or their Twitter, something to keep a point of contact. They'll give it to you, they'll refuse, or they'll ask you why. If they give it to you, that's great. Use that to propose another time to meet up for a drink or maybe a cup of coffee. If they deny you or they refuse you, don't take it too harshly. Just be polite. Don't try to pursue them further and just move on. Trust me. And if they ask why, be direct with what you want. Tell them you want to hang out again. Get to know them better. It's important to establish these things in the beginning, what your intentions are, so that way it kind of keeps that idea in their mind, as well as gives them the opportunity to better control how they want to handle their relationship with you, if they want to try to develop it, make a friendship, or take it further. It's a good idea to leave a good image of your character by not being too forceful in these things. Plus, it also kind of prevents you from getting into sticky situations, possibly, if you don't ignore the red flags. Step 4, meet up with them. Once you meet up with them, use that time to have a more in-depth conversation to try to really get to know them. You can start with the surface level topics, but gradually go on and move to deeper topics that reflect their character, as well as share some information about yourself that reflects your character. This is an opportunity to get to know each other. Don't stay on a heavy subject for too long either. Treat it like a roller coaster. Start with light surface level topics, then to deep conversations, back to light surface level topics, and depending on the vibe you pick up with this person, go with the flow. Use your knowledge of body language to tell when someone's enjoying their time and when they're not. If they look apprehensive, change the subject. Unless they want to continue that topic, then by all means, go ahead and continue with that topic. If they look bored with the surface level topics, try to find out what interests them. You can ask them about life, work, or just the overall state of the world. I recommend looking up what banter is and familiarizing yourself with it. Look at YouTube for some examples if you need be. In the meantime, here's a quick definition. Banter is the playful and friendly exchange of teasing remarks. Keep that in mind. Just remember not to joke around about a subject that they might find sensitive. Again, use body language as a clue for understanding what they may be feeling like or how the overall vibe is going. Use your tone of voice and choice of words to redirect the vibe to something lighter if it gets too heavy, so keep that in mind. Step 5, repeat the process and always try to keep it fresh, add something new. Keep an eye out for what's happening in your community so that way you can introduce that to your next hangout plan or something like that. Yeah, it'll help you not run out of ideas. You can also probably just Google up ideas and stuff. One of the things I used to do was I would take a girl out to the park when the sun was going down, and before I took her there, I made sure that there was like a whole bunch of glow sticks hanging around the tree, and I would tell her like, hey, let's go for a picnic. And once the sun settled down, I'd crack all the glow sticks and it looked really nice. Play some music, have a couple of sandwiches. Very romantic. So yeah, that's one idea you can use. Alright, step 6, get married. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, I'm just joking about marriage, by the way. That's up to you both. It depends on the situation. After time spending with them. Some people say like 2 to 3 years of getting to know someone is probably the best amount of time before you decide if you want to marry someone. That's up to you. So here's a couple of helpful tips to keep in mind. Be hygienic, because smelling bad is bad, especially if you want that kiss. Keep an eye out for the local events so you can have an excuse to use in order to hang out. At the very least, keep some money on you to afford a meal for two. Not that I'm encouraging you to purchase your date's meal on the first date, but if she refuses to pay or if he refuses to pay, you'll at least be prepared. And refusing to pay for the first 1 or 2 meals is a red flag, so I don't know. At least I think so. Debate that amongst yourself or your friends if you'd like. You want to see if they have that level of understanding and consideration right off the bat, because it might be a problem in the long run. Next tip is to stand out from the crowd. See someone you like and no one is talking to them, go talk to them. Maybe everyone else is talking to them. Then, in that case, give them like 2 to 3 glances from a distance, avoid approaching them right away, and find an excuse to talk to them when it feels natural to approach them. This way it won't look like you're fawning over them like everyone else, but just be aware of the details of what's going on. This also includes your surroundings, their body language, your body language, and the key time frames within that moment that you feel it's appropriate to approach someone. Maybe you notice they're constantly staring at you. Use that time to talk to a friend or someone else. Don't linger with these conversations though. You do, after all, want to leave a good impression on them, and you want to give them the opportunity to approach you. If you give yourself time to be alone once in a while, that's good. That's creating an open opportunity if they want to approach you. You never know. Maybe they're shy as well and they're just looking for that right moment. It's all about building that level of comfortability to approach someone, either you to them or them to you. Things to keep an eye out for and what to expect. Always expect rejections and never expect a romantic relationship. It is extremely important not to place your expectations on someone. This will prevent you from feeling bad if you do get rejected, and it will give you a better opportunity to hold on to your dignity. Sometimes people carry secrets they aren't willing to share. Then, out of nowhere, bam, it hits you like a truck full of bricks falling down a bridge that was over the sidewalk you have to be walking on. This could be a red flag. Decide for yourself, but don't feel surprised when it comes out right away. If they share it with you after a few dates, that's good news. They trust you. If they hold on to it after a long time and then you suddenly find out they're married or something, well, that's not good news. And good luck with that. Another thing to be wary of is false accusations. People like to play the victim sometimes. You kiss someone once because the date went well, then all of a sudden they accuse you of some extreme indecent act. That is obviously a red flag and a potential lawsuit, so be careful. That's also why it's important to try to catch people who aren't genuine or kind. In the previous steps in this guide, they'll pretty much help you pick up on those clues. If you see someone and they're being rude to others, that's a red flag. If they refuse to pay for the first meal, that's a red flag. If they judge you right away, that's a red flag. If they are too emotional and all over the place, that's a red flag. If they place heavy expectations on you, that's a red flag. Well, if they place heavy expectations on you, I guess that really depends. These red flags apply to you as well. If you really find that you need someone's help, there's probably a point that you can take to really sit down, talk with yourself, and understand where you're at in life and try to work on yourself to be a better person or to get yourself out of those negative situations. If you have things like that in your mind, work them out first before trying to enter a relationship. You don't want that to be affecting your future partner or whatever. If you're only looking for a one-night stand, don't worry too much about impressing anyone with your backstory, but I'd still worry about the red flags and working on yourself. So, you listened to the advice, somehow you found yourself in a concerning predicament. Your game was just too strong, and you caught a person with an obsession over you. It happens. I say be kind to people, but if you need to be stern about things, then be stern. Don't force yourself to be obligated by others' desires for you. It's not healthy for you or for them. If need be, give yourself some time to be alone. Develop a strategy to help you out in these situations. Talk to friends or family if you really feel hopeless. Good luck, and don't let people approach your personal space if they do seem threatening or desperate. Maybe things went well, but not that great. It's fine. Holding on to your self-respect is a good way to keep mutual respect. You're not going to meet everyone's expectations. That's fine. Life isn't about trying to find a partner, but continuous personal growth. A partner is just a plus, someone who adds to your enjoyment, and not someone you depend on for enjoyment. It's like building a lifelong friend. It's important to never compare yourself to others, as well as whoever you're trying to attract, their past partners. It's unhealthy if they compare you to them as well, and it is a red flag. Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, and if it didn't work out with the previous person, then why compare yourself to that person? If they unfortunately passed away or something like that, and they're now out there in the dating world, they may need time to gather themselves up. Maybe they're just putting themselves out in the dating world again, or maybe they just lost their partner. Whatever the case is, give them some space if need be. Don't be too forceful, and respect the situation. That's always important. Let's say they make more money than you. I wouldn't really worry about it too much, as you are already focusing on building yourself up, right? But if they can't accept that, then it's a red flag. If you don't want to build yourself up, maybe there's a few things to reevaluate about your life, your goals, your future. If you're happy with where you're at, then it's probably best to find someone who accepts you for where you're at. That's pretty much it for this video. If you have any comments, suggestions, tips, or maybe just other subjects you'd like for me to discuss, then feel free to leave it down in the comment section. Be sure to like and subscribe to my videos. This will at the very least help encourage me to keep making videos, and I would feel very much appreciated. Give me some new ideas as well if you'd like. As for now, I'll be working on other topics I'd like to post, such as past memories or something. Still up for debate, but who knows. Anyways, take care.